Hello, Nick.
Hi there.
You having a good morning? How you doing today?
I am. It's 311 day.
I know. I was gonna say happy 311 day. What do you do to celebrate?
Well, right now I'm catching up on all the well wishes, responding to all the nice messages I'm getting from friends and family and fans, and I'm very blessed.
Yeah, it has to be nice to wake up to a lot of positivity, I would imagine.
It is. It is. It's very heartwarming to see what my bandmates and I have built, and the community took on a life of its own. Like they do things that are very inspiring as far as like they'll get together and like do a food drive and different helping people in need, and it's a beautiful thing.
I mean, you guys have really cultivated this incredible energy, not just with your music, but with this community that it's only right that you're getting it back in tenfold. So it's really cool to see. I've never met a bad 311 fan. It feels like everyone that is a 311 fan is probably some of the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life.
Thank you. I concur. I mean, even back in the 90s when we had these wild mosh pits, it was always known if you fall down, someone will pick you up. It's like
Yeah.
it's a caring mosh pit if there is such a thing.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, as much as I would love to talk 311 stuff, we got so many great things coming up for you on your solo project. Is that you're kicking up your tour again for Nothing But the Truth, which is really exciting. You're kicking it off again here in Phoenix at Valley Bar, a nice little intimate venue, which is really cool. And it's all for your alternative era, if you will, bluegrass, Americana, very Midwestern, which I absolutely love. Um,
Thank you. The alternative. I gotta write that down. That is the first time I've heard that.
you know what? I wish I could take the credit. A buddy of mine that is a performer here, his name is Wheelwright, and he's coined the word y'alternative, and I stole it. I couldn't help it. It was so perfect, you know.
Shout out Wheelwright.
We got to talk about the three EPs that came out last year. You know, you had Waxing Nostalgic, which is now a year old. Congratulations on that.
Wow.
You have Full Memories and then Waning Time, and all really came out to this full album, Phases of Hope and Hollow, that released in August. These album or the EP titles kind of followed moon phases. Am I right?
Correct. I have to give credit to my wife for coming up with this theme. She's very into um, feeling the different energy of the different phases of waxing and full and waning and planet alignment and so forth. And, I think there's something to it. So I was like, I just realized it was a good metaphor for, waxing nostalgic, like songs like 1978, where I'm looking back at my childhood, um, to full memories of more about what's going on now, and then waning time. I mean, um, it's okay to like look at your life in the big picture and be like, all right, so what am I going to do with the time that I have left? Because it's all temporary, and there's a bit of peace in acknowledging that. And I just realized that um, going for the real emotional intensity and the vulnerability and the intimacy that the alternative can, be a perfect platform for was something, I've always tried to be revealing and emotionally honest, but to go like even further, to go into the dark caves and maybe sing about some things that um, made me nervous or made me feel like super vulnerable. Um, that it was time to do that because, peeling away layers of the onion is definitely a good thing.
I'm curious, while you were creating the music for this and writing the song lyrics, did you already have this idea in mind for the phases, or how did it come about exactly?
Um, Man, I just try and be an open channel. And I think it all just kind of came together nicely. I mean, it just started by following curiosity. And I really think that's the most important thing that an artist can do is to listen to the muse and go where she leads you. And so, starting out with some songs about, looking back at me needing to get sober, and then the song about what it was like when I was a kid. Those just felt like the first place for me to go, and that's where my curiosity led me. And then I think it was just also being inspired by some artists that like Faye Webster, and this vintage sound that's kind of country, but also kind of like bedroom pop, was inspiring. And I actually worked with some of the people in her band and her producer, and then some sort of country jazzy crooners like Madeline Peru, who I'm actually going to see later this week here in LA. Just really tripped my trigger.
Nice. And, shout out to Faye Webster. She's fantastic. I think one of my favorite songs of hers has to be Kingston. That was the first one I heard, and I absolutely fell in love. Just
And I
so,
heard that from my daughters. That particular song was the first one. And I was like, who is this? And they were like, she's our new Taylor Swift. Like, yeah, I'm digging it. And just that the pedal steel guitar in there is so dreamy. This guy who I've made acquaintance with named Pistol that plays it there is so nice. It just really evokes an emotional response in me.
speaking of your daughters, you have this song called Please Explain that kind of deals with the difficult time that your daughter had been going through. And I know you worked with Ben Queller on this song. Am I correct?
Yes.
You guys know each
Yeah.
other before this, or was this like a setup, or?
Yeah, it was a setup. It was a blind date. One of my old pals who used to be our A&R man, Pablo Matheson, is managing Ben Queller as well as Brendan Benson. He's now Austin based. And he was like, you and Ben would click. You guys should write a song. I was like, great, let's do it. And so we got set up on a Zoom session. And, you just start these by kind of getting to know each other, just talking about life. And we just kind of gravitated toward dad stuff. And, he shared some stuff with me that he's talked publicly about, like he lost one of his sons in a car crash. And just, that you put so much time and love into your kids, so that's like one of the hardest things any human can go through. And so I kind of started sharing about some stuff that one of my daughters was going through, and I could sense she was going through a dark time, and how I wanted to really create a safe space. And one of the most effective things you can do for your kids is to share your own dark times and how you got through them. So that's how I was able to kind of open up those lines of communication. And fortunately, that really saw her through to be in a better place now. So that's what the Please Explain is telling that arc.
Nice. How did she feel about you writing about this particular time in her life? Like when she heard it, what was her reaction?
Yeah, I made sure she was comfortable with it. She was like, I love it that you're writing a song about me. I love it. And was happy to be in the music video. And it was a very um memorable and heartwarming experience.
On top of working with Ben Queller, you also worked with Kenny Feinstein, Water Tower, who's also on the bill with you guys. I understand you were taking lessons from him for learning how to play mandolin. Am I correct?
Yeah, and some banjo lessons. And then that led to us doing a songwriting session. And our first session, we wrote Lonely Existence and Cosmic Connection. And and then he just was so um, eager and willing to just lay whatever kind of tracks I needed. And he can shred on every instrument. I mean, he's got a college degree in jazz guitar. But of course, as far as like flat picking and fiddle playing and more of the bluegrass is really his, he's a virtuoso. And so are the other guys and Water Tower. So it's really been this perfect bill to have them do their own set, which is a very raucous and more of a punk rock kind of bluegrass um, set, and then back me up for my set at the tour that's coming to town.
So you got them pulling double duty for you.
Yeah. And they're just like totally down. They're like, and not only do they do two sets, but they usually like to go and busk in the local like park. If they hear this is where people get together and jam, they're like, we're going. And they're just like always playing. And it's just a really nice environment.
I had read that they like performing on the side of like freeway on ramps or something like that. So I was wondering if something like that would take place here in Arizona.
Well, that was, he told me. So what we do to rehearse is we go play on freeway off ramps, and he was like, "You want to come do it with us?" And I was like, "That sounds terrifying. Let's do it." You know, I just realized that it just seems so out of the norm for me to be doing that. And then some people pull up and recognize me, and they're like, 311, like I'm like, yeah. And it's just it's really cool. And what I learned from that is how you have to project your voice and guitar playing like in more of an old-timey style when you didn't have all this close miking. Like I some of the songs I might sing an octave up so you can hear me over the traffic noise, and so it really was a very illuminating, and also kind of really got my chops together as far as the voice and the guitar playing, and being able to project without any amplification when we do the off ramp jams. People ask me for advice of young musicians, and I always say take every gig. And now I can expand that. Like, you don't need to wait for every gig. You need to get out there and perform. You can go do it at, Third Street Promenade or wherever. Um, there's people that might be listening. Um, and, the Water Tower guys told me that it's actually off ramp in Beverly Hills is not actually a good place. It's like the places in more like middle income and lower income are the ones where people like really like stop and listen and appreciate what you're doing. So it was very, very interesting, and just kind of breaking through walls of me like me go on a freeway off ramp and like, yeah, why not? And now I love it, and it doesn't make me nervous at all.
That's really cool. Now I just imagine you doing this before every show. You're just like, let me go busk real quick and then we'll
Yeah.
get back on stage.
Totally.
And then you actually just recently jumped on a song with Water Tower, Dim Summer, am I correct?
Yeah, Dim Summers, and it's a very, like I said, a lot of their music is more punk rock and raucous, but this is a very kind of a tender, like finding love in a rebound kind of situation, and is that okay? And just the textures that the banjo playing really touched me and moved me emotionally. So they were like, "You want to sing it?" I was like, "Yes, please." So that's part of my set now, and it's coming out on streaming.
Also, you're playing more of these intimate shows and these intimate venues. With touring with 311 for over 30 years now, does touring on your own bring different kinds of excitement and different kinds of stress for you?
It's a different vibe where at these solo shows, I really take the time to tell the stories of the songs and kind of do kind of lengthy introductions where I'm talking about the process of what of what where the song came from and what it means to me, and um so it's a more laid back pace, and it's much more intimate where normally at a 311 show, because it's a big arena or amphitheater or something, you need huge amps and in-ears and close miking and stuff like that. But this is a more of a we're just crowded around one microphone, like "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," like old timey production. And So sometimes if people in the audience are talking too much, I have to be like, sorry, we don't even have monitors, so we hear you like really loud. So if you could just kind of shush, I'd appreciate it. But it's definitely very different than the 311 show.
Speaking of a 311 show, this weekend you had 311 Fest in Vegas, which looked insane as it usually does. But you also debuted a bluegrass version of Network Error.
Correct.
Did you manage to sneak in that deathcore metal scream somewhere?
Uh, yeah, we do it bluegrass, but then I do the inward breathing growl, which is that's how you get that metal sound, and it sounds pretty weird when you just but when you do it like on a mic, it's like okay, that's how all these metal bands do it. So it really just stemmed from a elaborate dad joke where I was trying to make my daughter laugh and it worked. So then I went home and like demoed the song in literally 30 minutes and then put it out, and it was a lot of fun.
I do have one last question, and since it is 311 Day, I want to investigate 311. There was this time you were on the Eric Andre show. It was about like 9 years ago, I believe. Did you know that you were going to get waterboarded? Did you know all of this was going to happen?
They didn't tell us much. They said, we're going to mess with you while you're performing. And I was like, okay, sounds weird. Let's do it. So, we knew they would be kind of like throwing things at us and, sort of interrogating us. That's the vibe. They said, it's time to not only investigate 311, but we're going to interrogate 311. And Eric Andre said we were his favorite band in college, and he's actually like a really um, accomplished upright bass player. And so we went on his show, but no, they didn't. He didn't tell us the extent. Now I do have to say the waterboarding thing that was actually a body double. They did not. I did not get waterboarded, but I did get blindfolded and jabbed in the groin as I'm trying to sing with a cattle prod. He didn't actually electrocute me, but he did jab me pretty hard. So afterwards, I was like, bro, what the heck? And he had just, because they get into such wild shenanigans, he had just like cut his hand open and it had just been stitched together like the day before. And he was like, okay, you deserve revenge. So go ahead and flick me in my wound. And so I like flicked him as hard as I could right in his freshly healed wound. So I got a little bit of revenge, but I definitely think he got the upper hand.
And
Yeah.
also T-Pain just jumping out of nowhere. What?
Yeah. Oh, who was very intoxicated. He was like super drunk and like kept hazing us and singing along badly, and but he's actually a really good singer. But yeah, it was a super fun day. We just like walked out of there like, what just happened? So
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to a potential T-Pain and 311 collab in the future where you guys are
sure, bring it.
screaming. Nick, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and spending time talking about all of your new music that you have out right now, your upcoming show at Valley Bar on the 20th. You can grab tickets on the concert tab at altaz933.com. Other than that, any parting words, Nick?
No, thank you, Mo, and we'll hope to see you at the show.
All right, can't wait for all this alternative action.
There you go.
All right, man. You have a good one. Thank you again.
You too. Happy 311 day.
Happy 311 day.